oil and gas sector in Uganda is implemented along what is called regulatory best practice. Regulatory best practice requires that you separate policy, regulation, and business. So in Uganda, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development handles policy and licensing. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda handles regulation, while the Uganda National Oil Company handles business. The role of the Petroleum Authority of Uganda is really to regulate the country's oil and gas sector.
In this exclusive documentary showcasing Uganda's oil and gas sector, we bring you up to speed with current information on Uganda's upstream and midstream oil and gas sectors. Barrel is a magazine that specializes in oil and gas in Uganda. Our core objective is to communicate accurate, up-to-date information and data about Uganda's oil and gas sector to our readers and all the stakeholders in order to foster equitable decision-making and utilization of all the available opportunities. On the 6th of January 2026, the government of Uganda announced its commercial oil discovery after striking oil at Mputa 1 well.
In total, we drilled about 21 discovery wells within Albert and Graven. And out of that discovery, a number of appraisal wells were drilled to understand the extent of oil within these different discoveries. The total wells that were drilled were up to 121. The success rate was over 80% out of the 121 that were drilled.
Since then, a total of 21 discoveries has been made, which contains an estimated 6.5 billion barrels of oil with 1.5 billion barrels recoverable. One of the 21 discoveries, 14 have already been fully appraised and given the green light for development. In September 2013, the Uganda government awarded China National Offshore Oil Corporation, CNOOC Uganda Limited, a production license for the Kingfisher oil field on the shores of Lake Albert in Buhuka, Chikube district. This marked the transition from exploration and appraisal to development and production. In August 2016, 3 production licenses were awarded to Total Energies Uganda and 5 production licenses were awarded to Tullow Uganda. These 5 were later transferred to Total Energies E&P Uganda under the Tanga Project. Due to protracted legal battles between the government of Uganda and the international oil companies during Tullow's exit, plus the COVID-19 pandemic, Uganda had to wait until February 2022 to make the final investment decision (FID) on Kingfisher, Tanga, and East African crude oil pipeline projects. The final investment decision, which was signed between Total Energies EP Uganda, CNOOC Uganda, Uganda National Oil Company UNOC, and Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation, marked a critical moment in Uganda and Tanzania's oil and gas sector by unlocking investments to the tune of 15 to 20 billion US dollars into development of Uganda's oil and gas sector.
The agreements that Uganda has with the oil companies that are licensed are currently, they are production sharing agreements. And so in those, they provide for where an investor invests the money to confirm the volumes of oil, to prepare how the oil is going to be produced, and also eventually produce the oil. Now, once the oil is produced, the country gets a royalty because the resource owner. The company recovers costs after taking off the cost recovery, which gives the opportunity to have an amount remaining which is shared between the government and the companies. So then you have that as a production sharing component. Then since the share of the company is a profit to the company, because it's profit share, the company is required to pay a tax on that share. So the avenues to Uganda include royalty, they include the share of profit, and they include the taxation. In the future, they will also include a cost, the dividend, because the country now has a Uganda National Oil Company that is participating And so when the national oil company earns an income or a dividend, that will be also part of the country's earning.
The Tanga Project is operated by Total Energies E&P BV Uganda Limited on behalf of the joint venture partners. 412 wells will be sunk here on 31 well pads. At peak production, it is expected to produce 190,000 barrels of oil per day. Christopher Ochowon, the Public Relations and Public Affairs Coordinator at the Total Energies, and Michael Kello, a senior geochemist at Petroleum Authority of Uganda, were our guides for the day.
Within the industrial area, we have the drilling support base. The drilling support base is supporting the drilling activities. It has a number of contractors. We have Volorex that is providing the casing or the pipe for drilling. We have Cosil, a Chinese company that is providing muds for the drilling. We have Zipeb that is doing the actual drilling, the one running the rigs. We have Slambaja that is providing the different parts for the rigs that we're using. Then we have excellent logging, they're the one taking charge of the data that we are getting out of this drilling. And under Tanga now we're having 3 rigs which are up and running and are drilling. 2 rigs at this side in Bulisa district. One is now at a well pad called Ngiri 1.
So basically those 3 warehouses and up to the most extreme one that we see on my extreme right is all parts of the construction support base. Within the industrial area we have a construction camp. So this construction camp is housing the McDermott staff, their subcontractors, Sinopec and their subcontractors. Okay, that's what we are reading as construction camp part A and part B. It's all construction camp. Below the CPF is the OSB and OC, that is operation support base and operations camp. So basically what will be the DSB for the CPF is what we are calling the operation support base. So an operation camp is where the people that will be involved in operating the CPF facilities will be stationed and staying. So basically this is what we are visiting today.
Total Energies has paid in-kind compensation through 235 resettlement houses that have been handed over to relocate project-affected persons, also known as PAPs, who are also being supported through skills training, startup kits and various livelihood restoration programs, such as the introduction of a new variety of cassava called narrow-cas, through which they have yielded a bumper harvest. The Kingfisher Project is a $1.5 billion upstream project owned by a joint venture of companies, namely Total Energies with participating interest of 56.67%, CNOC 28.33% and UNOC 15%. The Kingfisher Project is operated by CNOC Uganda Limited on behalf of the joint venture partners. The Kingfisher Development Area is located in Bohuka, Chikube district on the southern shores of Lake Albert and spans over 344 square kilometers. It contains one onshore oil field with an estimated 560 million barrels of oil, 190 million barrels recoverable. The development of the Kingfisher Project includes drilling 31 wells from 4 well pads using one rig called Rig LR8001.
We have well pad number 2 where we did our first drilling activities, where you can see the maroon and white iron sheet. From there we did the drilling at well pad number 3. You are able to see maroon iron sheets. That is our well pad number 3. We finished drilling all the oil wells at that pad, and currently the rig is not operating there. It is at pad 1. And then we have well pad number 4. It is on my right, where you see a lot of homesteads, households with white iron sheets, but just in the middle of them there is plain land that is being cleared. That is our well pad number 4. Then from there we have our central processing facility where you see tanks that are coming up, where all oil will first be sent here before it is sent to Kavale, to the government refinery. And then we have these other accommodation facilities. These are our camps. These are camps for the contractors who are now active at site. We have permanent buildings coming up. That is a permanent camp that is being constructed by SINOC, just for residents and the operational areas.
So far, a total of 8 wells, 4 on well pad 2, 3 on well pad 3, and 1 on well pad 1 have been completed. In a joint venture with China Oil HBP Group, National Enterprise Corporation has established a waste treatment facility through their subsidiary Ruwero Industries Limited in Changwari, Chikube district. It is located on top of the escarpment overlooking the Kingfisher development area. Ruwero Industries Limited are the contractors for treatment of drilling waste from the Kingfisher Project. The waste treatment facility is equipped with modern, high-tech equipment such as 2 thermal desorption units, an unengineered landfill.
Now the waste treatment and disposal facility has a number of assets. We have the thermal desorption units, we have the wastewater treatment facility, we have engineered landfills. That these assets are supposed to help us to manage the oil waste from the Kingfisher.
The first reception is weighing at the weigh bridge that holds up to 80 tons. So it is weighed and then taken into the reception shed where it is inspected and checked. Samples are taken to our lab that is used for testing and making sure that the material that we are bringing up meets the standards for us to be able to treat. And then samples are taken from the treated material and taken to the lab, and some are taken to third-party labs. Currently we are using some labs in Makere and EnviroServe as our third-party labs for testing this material to make sure that it meets the environmental standards and the permissible limits that have been set by NEMA. Then furthermore, the liquids are treated in a water treatment plant. That's where any oil that could have escaped through the machines is separated from the water treatment.
As in Ruwero Industries, we also we extract oil from our waste and take it back for SINOC. Oil, and that oil is also collected from another channel and taken back to SINOC down at the drilling site.
So we receive 2 kinds of waste. We have the SBMs, which is the oily cuttings, and then we have the WBMs, which is the water-based cuttings. Now the SBMs are treated in these machines, the thermal desorption units, and then the WBMs are taken to the landfill, stabilized, and then treated by stabilization with cement, and then landfilled.
There are 5 villages neighboring the Kingfisher development area that have enjoyed the benefits of the project. The main economic activity on Lake Albert is fishing. The Kingfisher Corporate Social Responsibility activities, the Buhuka Gravity Water Flow Project, has been set up. This provides clean water to all the 5 villages in the Buhuka flats.
Land is communally owned, so it's not individual. When we go up the escarpment, land is individually owned. So here we have compensated the association, which is the Buhuka Communal Land Association, for the land that to be occupied by us, our facilities, and we have also compensated all the project affected persons. The ones who are physically displaced, we have constructed resettlement houses, 3 bedrooms, a sitting room, a modern kitchen, pit latrine, solar powered, and water harvest tank, and then we shall also do titling for where we are constructing for them the houses. So we are coexisting with every other person you see here with the facilities. But we have buffer zones for each facility. We ensure that we don't have the community very close.
Bintu bingi bitukurora hibi gatuyambira amafuta gano. Kikusoka batukolera oruguudo kalabuli twarabaga omuhanda mu rusozo omuntu araba mu buhanda bwa maguru kikaba kiri kizibu muno okusirimukanya nja kuno abantu nkabamu abakaikuru abakazi abakutemba rusozi genda kuzaara abakuruga kuno kikaba kiri kizibu muno babahimbaga buhimba baitu bwire buno okutemba emotoka n'ogenda kyamani muntu kafuna omuhanda tufunira akatale nkanu akombekerwe kulungi buli twakoleraga muzigati ataro kintu kyona betufunira obutale abaana bo mukanu bafunira emirimu bali musinoka bali musisije kampu zinge zibafuniremo emirimu abaana bakufuna sente.
The East African crude oil pipeline will be a 1,443-kilometer pipeline stretching from Kabalega Industrial Park in Hoima District, Uganda, all the way to the Tanga Storage Terminal in Tanzania, with the capacity to store up to 1 million liters of Ugandan crude oil before it's loaded in tankers for export.
Pump Station 1 basically it's around 580 by 380 meters, and so far we have completed early civil works around 60%. We have started on the foundations for metering package for the pig launcher and the pig receiver, and then we have also started foundations for the X-pump, which are 3 in number. That's A, B and C, and those are basically to pump oil for export. And how it is going to be working is the oil will be received from Kingfisher feeder lane, at the same time Telenga feeder lane, through the receivers to their respective metering packages, and then from the metering package to the export pumps. From the export pumps, and then it goes direct to the launcher, and then they are taken for export. We have also the receiver for the refinery, but we shall make it dormant not until the refinery decision is made and also the refinery is constructed.